than one rider in a team, basically the rider we're looking at on the screen will be marked by a yellow number on the left hand side of the screen. That is what we will see shortly there. That's Wout van Aert we're looking at there, just at the back of those three riders. He's in 11th place at the moment. Well, normally the riders would have covered 240 kilometres by this point in the race. So we're starting out of Ronde, and the first of the three climbs will be the Kruisberg Auton, and that will come up fairly shortly. A lot of jostling for position here. These systems are absolutely fantastic. You know, I was listening to Oliver Naesen talking ahead of it yesterday, and he was saying that, you know, if you slipstream behind somebody else, it is actually easier on your turbo trainer. You can feel the difference if you're drafting behind others. It is that sensitive. So last year's winner in the pink jersey of EF Pro Cycling, Alberto Bettiol, leading the way. Nicola Roche showing his face towards the front as well. Roche, a two-time national champion of Ireland, one of four riders taking part in this race from Monaco today. The vast majority of them in Belgium. Mike Teunissen is in Rosmalen in the Netherlands. And Alberto Bettiol is at home in Lugano in Switzerland. Jasper Stuyven, Michael Matthews, Nico Roche and Tim Wellens, the four riders who are in Monaco at the moment. So Remco Evenepoel hits the front. There won't be too much of a surprise there, but as you can see, there is plenty of jostling for position. That of course is always such a key element of the Tour of Flanders, this 6.5 hour plus epic of a race. Positioning is so key. Even 15 to 20 kilometres out from some of the key cobbled climbs, the roads are only so wide. It's such a big field, and people know you need to be in that first 15 or 20 riders. Of course, that's not so much of a problem today with the 13 rider field, but nonetheless there will still be a competitive edge as they head towards the first climb of the race. Virtual coverage here for the riders. You can see 2.4 kilometres into the race, 28.6 remaining here now. So heading from Ronde into the Kruisberg Auton shortly. We can hear the virtual crowd getting behind the riders as well. Virtual spectators out in Belgium today, and here we can see what we're actually looking at here. This is where we hope the riders, of course, will be this time next year, back out on the open roads. The Kruisberg Auton used to be a pretty obscure climb, actually, compared to the others in this race, rising out of the north of Ronde. It used to come pretty early in the Tour of Flanders as well. Just keeps rising for another kilometre over the top, too. And this was the spot around here, when you get towards the top here, that Alexander Kristoff and Niki Terpstra started to make their moves in years when they emerged victorious in Oudenaarde. Getting a little look at Thomas de Gent, I think, shortly. There is the climb itself, the Kruisberg Auton, 2.5 kilometres long. The average gradient 5% on this first one, maximum 9%. And we're riding with Remco Evenepoel. What an outstanding young talent he is. Winner at San Sebastian last summer, silver medalist in the World Championships in Harrogate in the United Kingdom. In the autumn in the individual road time trial. What a wet week that was, but conditions most unspring classics like actually at the moment. You see Alberto Bettiol's having to really dig in here, and Remco Evenepoel just below him on the left hand side of your picture, comfortably seated and blasting away from the field at the moment. Yves Lampaert losing a little bit of ground towards the back. That's what Lampaert we're looking at now, getting dropped here on this first climb. Still just a handful of seconds in it. You can see Remco Evenepoel in the distance at the front. That's Wout van Aert in the yellow, just in front of Yves Lampaert. Lampaert, like all of these riders, with such a good pedigree, a two-time winner of the Dwars door Vlaanderen and a stage winner in the Vuelta as well. Evenepoel and Bettiol are getting things going at the front of the race here. Last year's winner determined to put a strong defence of the title up this time. It was the first time that Bettiol had actually won a race when he emerged victorious 12 months ago. He's always had the talent, had a few issues along the way, but was told to really believe in himself and to just go for it, which sometimes he'd held back in the past. But he said that after he'd made the move from the Ile de Quaremont, which we'll be heading for in the not too distant future, that it was the longest 14 kilometres of his life, that run into Aldenarde. But Bettiol's all business here, as is Evenepoel. And by the way, the virtual picture is an accurate one. It's a beautiful spring day in Belgium, and proof of that is Evenepoel's shot that we saw a minute or two ago, because you could see him in his back garden. So our two leaders opening up a little advantage here now. This is the road that they're actually on. Mention that it continues to drag up. Alberto Bettiol just struggling to hold the back wheel and losing the back wheel of Remco Evenepoel. Evenepoel seated and strong and launching his attack early here, just trying to get rid of the rest of the field. Bettiol in second place. Thomas de Gendt is in third, not far behind. And then there's a little gap back to Nicola Roche, Tim Wellens in the top five, and Michael Matthews in sixth place, the Australian. Australia never had a winner of the Tour of Flanders. A couple of second places along the way. In fact, 3 second places. Heinrich Hausler in 2009 and Phil Anderson twice second in the 1980s, in 1985 and 88. So we're back with Wout van Aert, who's back in 11th place, 61 metres behind at the moment. A little bit of a gap there. Losing quite a lot of ground, but Van Aert has had a horrible time, hasn't he, since that heavy crash when he collided with a barrier in the individual time trial in the Tour de France on that hot day in Pau in the southwest of France. He was on the searingly hot tarmac for a long time while they tended to him that day, and majorly significant muscle injury with complications that kept him out for the rest of the season. And it's not that long since he has been back on his bike and back in action. The Het Nieuwsblad, actually the only race of the season for him. Most of the riders, of course, haven't been able to race a great deal, but that's the only one for him. He did finish 11th in that one. There he is. There's one of his World Championship jerseys from the cyclocross there behind him on the wall. One of three-time world champion in that discipline, and the stage winner Inter Albi in the Tour de France last year. You can see the watts, 400 watts he's churning out at the moment. And Evenepoel and Bettiol at the front, joined by Thomas de Gendt. Thomas de Gendt in the jersey with the red. The pink jersey is the EF Pro Cycling top of Alberto Bettiol, and there is Remco Evenepoel. The three riders from De Koning, I was going to say you can tell them apart because Evenepoel has a red helmet and the other two have got yellow, but actually you can just tell which one it is because Evenepoel's going to be the one at the front, I think, all things being equal throughout this race. Roche is going well as well, back in fourth place at the moment, and Michael Matthews hanging in there, just 6 seconds down. Roche, it looks as if Nico Roche might be about to join the back of this group. We're with Roche now, I think. Yep, there he is. There's Nico Roche. Live from Monaco, here on the roads of Flanders. Bettiol at the bottom of your screen, Evenepoel in the middle on the left, and there's Thomas de Hent. He looks pretty comfortable, doesn't he, there in his workshop with his little casquette peak turned up, and he looks like he's got a bit more to give there, Thomas de Hent. As we race with Remco Evenepoel, 300 watts, just under, 95 revs per minute. Burning the calories in this short, sharp version of the Tour of Flanders, the Ronde van Vlaanderen. Hope you're enjoying this virtual race. It's the best that all of us can manage at this particular time, of course. A lot of hard work has gone into making this possible, from Flanders Classics, the organisers, Be Cool, Kisway Cloudcast System and Sportser as well, and the riders and the teams themselves. One other thing to note is that there is no prize money here. They're not doing it for money. They're doing it for the love of our sport and the honour of this great race, the Tour of Flanders. Keeping themselves entertained, and hopefully all of us as well. So gaps appearing pretty early on this road. 23.3 kilometres remaining. One of the three climbs is under the wheels already. The next one will be the Oude Quaremont, and then very quickly after that will be the Paterberg. So the key part of the race still to come, but not far away now. They're back in Quaremont with just under 19k to go. So jostling for position here. Pretty fast section of the course, this one. Hurtling through the countryside, and Roche is going well. Roche, de Hent, Bettiol and Evenepoel, and Greg van Avermaet is getting things moving now as well. He's warming up nicely, Greg van Avermaet. And we see our leading four riders on the left-hand side. Roche is the third one down in the red jersey. And Bettiol's decided that the headwear needs to come off. He needs to just mop his brow a bit. Getting up a bit of a sweat in his front lounge. Absolutely powering along the road here in the Belgian sunshine. the expression on their faces. This may be a short race, particularly in their terms, but it is decidedly intense. Let's go back a little bit. That's Mike Turnison at the back there in the yellow of Jumbo-Visma. Mike Turnison, 6th in Het Nieuwsblad earlier this season. And that's the only race that he has been able to take part in, until today, of course. So Turnison bringing up the rear of that little group back in 10th place. Haven't seen Michael Matthews much yet. He's down in 7th. There he is, Matthews. He's 12 seconds behind that leading group of 6. Can he bridge that gap? Of course, we're going to, once we've come off the Ude Quaremont, straight in towards the Paterberg. The Paterberg is short and sharp. A really punchy climb. Decent crowds out along the route. Little pockets of virtual spectators enjoying the sunshine. Ude Quaremont. .3 kilometres remaining. Oliver Narsson really pumping the watts out there. Well over 500 here at the moment. Big effort from him. Thomas de Gent just sitting in there nice and steady. Staying at the front without really showing his face at the front of the race too much. Greg van Avermaet up there as well. And Evenepoel, well, he doesn't look any different every time we see him, does he? He's just in that seated position. First time we've seen Thomas de Gent out of the saddle in this race. Roche as well, really digging in on this one. Digging in on the climb. Jesper Stuyven is trying to come up towards the front of the group. Jesper Stuyven too far behind. Thomas de Gent now just opening up a little bit of a gap. That's Bettiol there we're looking at, closest to the camera from the low-flying heli vision. And there's the Italian racing in Lugano today. Cheered on by the crowd there on the left-hand side of the road, but Bettiol is losing contact. Last year's winner of the Tour of Flanders losing contact here. And the Ude Quaremont, this is where he launched his bid for victory a year ago. Could be slipping away from him now, agonisingly seeing it's disappearing. There's Mike Turnison down in 8th place, just about to catch up with Tim Wellens. All these two form an alliance. And will they have the strength, and can they claw their way back to the others here? 4 of the field, by the way, in today's race were in the top 10 in 2019, and 4, a different 4, the year before that as well. Greg van Avermaet, by the way, up towards the front too, has twice finished as the runner-up in the Ronde. In 2014 to Fabien Cancellara, and 3 years ago to Philippe Gilbert as well. He's also finished 3rd in the race. Is this going to be the year when Greg van Avermaet stands on the top step of the podium, albeit in his own lounge in a virtual race and a virtual environment? But hey, You'll take any victory you can get these days, and this is the only thing on offer for these professionals and for us to watch. Remco Evenepoel has looked strong throughout this and continues to ride superbly. Evenepoel at the front, just ahead of De Gent. 21.5 minutes into the race. Just see that Remco Evenepoel is looking a little more laboured over the handlebars. Thomas De Gent just grabbing the towel momentarily. And look at Van Avermaet there, those legs pumping like pistons. He's all business, Van Avermaet, in this one. As they head towards the top of the Oude Kwaremond, you can see that on the line. 15 kilometres into the race, 16 remaining. 22 minutes gone here in the lockdown Ronde 2020. Remco Evenepoel leading the way. He's already had a great season, actually. Well, I say great, they haven't had many races, have they? But he has won 2 races already this year. The overall, he was the GC winner of the Tour de Algarve and the Vuelta San Juan as well. 2 wins for him in February. And the 20-year-old has certainly looks as though he's managed to keep his form for this one too. Greg Van Avermaet now goes to the front. Greg Van Avermaet, the orange of CCC. So 5 riders at the front of the race. Larsen, just look at the effort and the pain etched on his face. We'll see that if he just lifts his head up. There we are. Look how tough it is for these riders. This Be Cool system is really putting them through the paces. Thomas De Gent, good at not giving too much away there. His picture replaced by that of Nicola Roche now. One of the 4 riders down in Monaco. But we've got a high quality lineup here at the front of the race. And will this course separate them out? Will it thin them out to the extent that somebody can attack and get away? Because the Oude Kwaremond and the Paterberg, that's where this race is usually won and lost. And Michael Matthews has stopped. Michael Matthews has stopped at the side of the road. I'm not sure whether Matthews has got a problem. Has he got a puncture? Is he waiting for the service car yet to appear? Well, he needs a virtual mechanic to help him out. Not his day, Michael Matthews, it would seem. And as you can see, he's nearly 2 kilometres behind. But what a talent he is, Michael Matthews. And there we can see him, and you can see how completely spent he is at the moment. The Team Sunweb rider. Green jersey winner at the Tour de France 3 years ago. He will have known coming into this year that with Tom Dumoulin's departure that he'll be really looking to carry quite a lot of the load and step up this season for Team Sunweb. Stage winner in all 3 Grand Tours, Michael Matthews, but no longer a contender in this lockdown Ronde. Oliver Larsen there of AG Dosert on the front. That's the brown, blue and white. Nicola Roche there in the red jersey on the left of your picture. And Greg Van Avermaet, who keeps doing a little turn at the front. The riders in this leading group doing bit and bit. We're down to 5 here now. The Paterberg is the next one on the horizon. The Paterberg, the final climb of the race. Short, sharp, punchy, this one. 360 metres long. The average gradient, 12.9%. The maximum, 20.3%. This is one of the shortest climbs on the usual race route, the whole of the route. This would normally be climb number 17, the last one for the riders. It's number 3 today. Van Aersen looking really strong. Greg Van Avermaet second place. Thomas De Gent is still up there. And this on the right hand side, of course, is where we would rather have seen the riders and where we would all like to be if not riding at the side of the road in the Belgian countryside, enjoying the grand spectacle of this wonderful cycling Sunday in Flanders. Such a special day in the cycling calendar. And at least we've been able to salvage something from it. Van Avermaet at the top. Van Avermaet's just got a 2-second gap over Oliver Naassen. Thomas de Gent is still in contention. Remco Evenepoel losing ground. And Nicola Roche as well. It's a nasty one, the Paterberg. We're riding with Remco Evenepoel, who's been at the front or with the front of the race throughout so far. But he's seeing the others disappearing off over the horizon here. And there won't be too much time to do anything about it. It's a fast and furious run into Oudenaarde. Evenepoel digging in. Back at the front of the race with the Olympic champion, Greg Van Avermaet, who's today racing in Grenbergen at his home in Belgium. What a pedigree he has, as well as that Paris-Roubaix win, the Olympic gold. He's won the E3 Harelbeke, Gent-Wevelgem, two-time winner of Het Nieuwsblad as well, and a two-time stage winner in the Tour de France. His last win, last September, the Grand Prix of Montreal. Is he going to add to his illustrious palmarès today? Looking strong, isn't he, Van Avermaet? Opening up a little gap here. Such a big race for the Belgians this. So we have got 8 of the 13 riders in the field are Belgian today. We've got a Dutchman, a Czech rider, one from Italy, one from Australia, also in Roche, an Irishman. But it means so much to these Belgian riders. And over the years, 69 Belgian victories, 11 Italian wins, including last year, 10 for the Dutch, their third, but only one Belgian victory in the last 7 years in the Tour of Flanders. That was Philippe Gilbert 3 years ago. Here's the chase group. Naassen at the back, Roche in the middle, de Gent at the front of the trio. And Remco Evenepoel is just losing ground, hand over fist here now. Jasper Stuyven has got a lot of ground to make up to try and get to him. So Oliver Naassen, top left of your screen there, the AG2R rider. 7th last year in the Tour of Flanders. Can he go better today? 3rd in Gent-Wevelgem as well last year. So some near misses, some great finishes from him. 2nd in Milan-San Remo a year ago. Mopping the brow, wiping the sweat away. As we head into the closing kilometres of this lockdown virtual Tour of Flanders. If you've just joined our coverage, 13 of the best riders in the world going head-to-head live from their smart trainers at home on the Be Cool system, racing over the last 32 kilometres of the Ronde. Here we are with Jasper Stuyven of Trek Segafredo. It's a lonely ride for him at the moment in 6th place. Can't see Remco Evenepoel in front of him, and Mike Teunissen is another 15 seconds behind him almost. So a decent effort from Jasper Stuyven, winner of Het Nieuwsblad earlier this year. Here's Mike Teunissen, who's being joined by Tim Wellens. Well, those two have been together for a little while on the road now, haven't they? As we are very much on the fast, predominantly flat running towards Oudenaarde. You can see Wellens is pumping out just over 360 watts at the moment. 45 kilometres an hour. Clicking off the calories as well in the bottom left of your screen. Nearly 900 used up in the short period of time of this race. Half an hour into the event now. And just over 10 kilometres remaining. Alberto Bettiol back in 10th place, 41 seconds down. Bettiol started very well, but just hasn't got the legs today to challenge for a repeat and a successful defence of his crown won last year. That win actually in this, of course, one of the biggest races you could ever win, was the first of his professional career. So not a bad place to start. And since then, he did manage to win the time trial stage in the Étoile de Bessèges this year, was second overall. Plenty of time left for the 26-year-old Italian to add to his palmares. This is Greg van Avermaet at the front of the race. It's looking good for Van Avermaet. Still looking really solid. Strong pedalling action, steady on the top of his bike. And a gap of 10 seconds over Oliver Naassen at the moment. Good ride from Nicola Roche here as well in third place. 130 metres we're hearing is the gap from the front to second place. So it's looking good for Greg van Avermaet. And what a highly prestigious name it would be as the winner of this first ever lockdown run, if indeed he does hang on to the end. 8.3 kilometres to go for the Olympic champion in the sunshine. The virtual sunshine beating down on his back. Looks pretty warm at his house as well. Oliver Naassen hasn't given up yet. He's just closing in a little bit, less than 100 metres behind, straining every sinew in pursuit of Greg van Avermaet. And Roche, you can see, looks like he's absolutely on the rivet there in his lounge as well. Thomas de Gendt has removed the casquette for the closing stages. He's third overall at the moment. So Oliver Naassen with just a slight gap, which is being closed now at the front of the race. Roche just moving through to do a turn at the front. Sits up for a moment. Can they reel in Greg van Avermaet here in the closing stages? Like greyhounds chasing the hare along the road in towards the finish. Who's got the staying power? Who's managed to keep a semblance of good form throughout these tough lockdown times? Of course, riders will still have been able to go for a ride outside in many cases. So often it's a muddy, gritty, tough, windy cobble classic. The wind is usually quite a factor in the Tour de Flanders. The constant changes of directions and the positioning in the peloton important throughout. Of course, not so much in a situation like this. Nonetheless, it's taking a big effort from these riders to get towards the front, as you can clearly see by the looks on their faces and the sweat pouring from their brows. Oliver Naassen there we've got the blue on his jersey, the Agé Desert La Mondiale rider. Nicola Roche on the right. Those three managing to close in a little bit. It's a 9-second gap back to Greg van Avermaet. I think they can just about see him in the distance now, but the kilometres are clicking away. 6.5 to go for Thomas de Gendt, a three-man chasing group. Jasper Stuyven is 3/4 of a minute behind them. We go back further now. Remco Evenepoel, who started really well and was at the front of the race for a long time, he currently has Jasper Stuyven for company, and they are half a kilometre behind on the road. And there he is. Beautiful day. Jasper Stuyven there, just below it, both in the standings and the new picture. He's got a good setup there with all the jerseys hanging up. So those two riding together, but it's fifth place that they will be riding for, barring some major unforeseen problem for everybody else. Here's the leader, Greg van Avermaet. 8 times he's finished in the top 10. can he win this virtual Tour of Flanders? Well, there's no let-up. He doesn't look any different, does he, Van Avermaet? Whenever we see the little shot of him at home there, it looks exactly the same. No let-up from him. 10th in last year's Ronde. Didn't manage to win any of the classics last year. His best result actually came in the E3 Big Bang Classic. He got on the podium there, finishing in 3rd place. But is he going to get back to classic winning ways today? 5k to go for the leader, the Olympic champion, Greg Van Avermaet. It's looking good for him. He's holding the gap at 9 seconds from Oliver Naassen, Thomas de Gent and Nicola Roche. Here he is, Greg Van Avermaet, just out of the saddle. These virtual cycling systems are so good, aren't they, in replicating the conditions out on the road. Here's the chase group of 3, with Oliver Naassen at the front at the moment. Best result for him this year before today was 7th in Het Nieuwsblad. But he's ridden so strongly. And he's managed to have the staying power to carry it through. Thomas de Gent hanging in there as well. Jasper Stuyven and Remco Evenepoel back at 50 seconds. 52 now. A pastoral scene here in the closing kilometres as they head to Oudenaarde. And of course, if you've got this system at home as well, you will be able to ride these roads and feel just how tough it is to ride the closing stages of the Tour of Flanders. Nibel's out at full pelt, as Roche and de Gent are doing at the moment. So riders in the closing stages here now. This is the chase group. Look, Van Avermaet has extended his lead. It doesn't look as if he's going to be denied today, Greg Van Avermaet. His best classics year 3 years ago with Paris-Roubaix, E3 Harelbeke, Gent-Wevelgem and Het Nieuwsblad, winning all of those 3 years ago. And on top form today during the lockdown. What a frustration for him, what a frustration for everyone, of course, but Greg Van Avermaet in great form here and leading the way with an advantage of over 200 metres on the 3 chasers. And there's no doubt who is going to win this lockdown Ronde 2020, and what a big name winner we're going to have. Could hardly be a bigger one. Oudenaarde awaits Greg Van Avermaet. 2.7k to go. And he's churning out over about 430 watts, something like that at the moment. Just look at the sweat glistening on his body there. Look at the power. 500 watts now being churned out by Greg Van Avermaet. Just for a few moments anyway. Come down slightly from that as he digs in once again. 43 kilometres an hour. And Oliver Naassen now launches an attack. Oliver Naassen really going for it. He's thrown it in the big one and leaving nothing to chance. He's just trying to sprint away from Roche. Look at Roche on the left-hand side of your picture. Look at the effort there, etched on his face. Thomas de Gent just trying to stay calm and trying to limit his losses here and hang in there and claw them back. But Naassen is throwing everything into a big attack here to try to close the gap, but he's only got 2.3 kilometres in which to try and do it. Plus, he's got the powerful figure of Greg Van Avermaet hurtling along the road in front of him. Van Avermaet leading, Naassen in second place, Roche in third. Brilliant ride from him. And Thomas de Gent as well, hanging in there, just losing a little bit of ground now, Thomas de Gent. And that's who we're riding with there in the red jersey, the Lotto Soudal rider. One of the 2 Lotto Soudal riders in today's field, alongside Tim Wellens, who's currently just a little bit further back. He was riding with Mike Turnison the last time we saw them, roughly 7th and 8th, if I remember rightly. Big effort here from Oliver Naassen. And Roche doing everything he can to try and stay within touching distance. And there he is, just trying to close that gap again. It was such a big, powerful effort from Naassen. He's going again, Oliver Naassen. We're riding with him. 400 watts coming out from him. And Roche is hanging on by his fingernails here. Thomas de Gendt losing ground, hand over fist now. I think his chance of a podium finish has gone. And the gap's still pretty big. It's 20 seconds nearly from Van Avermaet. 250 metres is the gap. Greg Van Avermaet is closing in on the win here in the lockdown Ronde. And Van Avermaet with just a few hundred metres to go, 800 metres remaining, as he heads into Aldenade for the big finish here. Out of the saddle, one big last effort from him. Over 500 watts being powered out here by the Olympic champion. Look at the effort. It's all going to be worth it in just a few moments' time, because he is going to be crowned the champion of this virtual Tour of Flanders, the lockdown Ronde 2020. And the man in the orange of CCC, under the clear blue Belgian skies, is going to take this victory. And Van Avermaet now closing in towards the finish. He's almost there. He's not leaving anything to chance. No looking behind, no sitting up, no freewheeling. This is about powering towards the line and making sure that you finish in first place. Twice he's finished second in the Ronde. Once he's finished third, but this time the top step of the podium is his. Greg Van Avermaet is the winner of the lockdown Ronde. Fantastic effort from him. The Olympic champion gets the victory in this Ronde van Vlaanderen, the virtual race. Here's the sprint for second place. Oliver Naassen is going to take it. It's a Belgian 1-2. And Nicola Roche is going to finish in an excellent third place. A sensational ride. There's Oliver Naassen, who has just come over the line in second place. What an effort from him. He put it all out there on the road in the closing stages. Here comes Thomas de Gendt now in towards the finish. De Gendt is the next rider on the road. He is going to finish in fourth place. So great ride by Thomas de Gendt, and he looks strong throughout. There he is in his workshop, and no doubt glad that he can just ease off the pedals a little bit now and finally have a rest. But what a race we saw, and what a winner we've got as well in Greg Van Avermaet. So next up, first out on the road at the moment. That's why he's got the number 1 next to his name there, the yellow indicating we're looking at Jasper Stuyven from Trek Segafredo, coming up the finishing straight. Quite a pastoral scene, isn't it, here, this virtual Aldenade. And up and over the line comes Jasper Stuyven. So well done him. This will be Remco Evenepoel. Yeah, it is. It's Evenepoel, who started like a train, didn't he? He was absolutely flying along the road. Tim Wellens is going to come in next. Tim Wellens, one of those based in Monaco for this one, the second of the Lotto Soudal riders. He'll come in just behind, he'll come in 3 riders behind his teammate Thomas de Gendt. And Tim Wellens, well, a little bit of a gap back to him, but he crosses the line now. So 7th place for Wellens as we race with Wout van Aert of Jumbo-Visma. Wout van Aert, 45 and a half minutes in the saddle, through the barriered area and over the finishing line. 8th then, Wout van Aert. Mike Turnison will be next. Stage winner and wearer of the yellow jersey in the Tour de France last year. Stage winner in Brussels. And Alberto Bettiol there is with Yves Lampaert and Zdeněk Štýbar. Lampaert and Štýbar, 2 riders who we didn't see at all, did we, throughout the race. towards the rear end. 10th place on the line for the next rider. It's Lampart and Stibar. We're actually riding with Bettiol, who's been forced to let the other two go. And it's the two De Koning quick-step riders who are now sprinting for 10th place by my reckoning here at the end of this Ronde. So Bettiol, like Evenepoel, a rider who started strongly but wasn't able to keep that going throughout the entire distance. Here's the sprint for the line, and Lampart is the rider at the front of the two. No, it's Stibar. Stibar crosses in front of Yves Lampart. So there we are. This is the scene across Europe as the riders recover from this big effort over 32 kilometres. The winning rider, second from the right at the bottom of your screen. Alberto Bettiol just winding it down. And Michael Matthews, a non-finisher today. There's the winner. And able to enjoy his success with his family in the background. Well, that was a good workout for a Sunday afternoon. And hopefully we'll be able to hear from the winner shortly. Michel, the Belgian TV commentator, I think will be chatting to the winner at the first available opportunity. And of course, Greg van Avermaet in the safety of his own home here today on this lockdown Ronde. Well, that was fun, certainly for Greg van Avermaet, who won with room to spare, powering along the road to victory. And there's Nicola Roche recovering. What a stellar effort from him, the 35-year-old. Two-time stage winner in the Vuelta, 5th overall in that race a few years ago as well. Hasn't been able to ride much this year, like everyone, of course. The only race was the Tour des Alpes-Maritimes du Var. He came 7th in that. But he's clearly keeping himself in great shape during these tough times and rode superbly today. So well done to him, finishing in 3rd place, a podium finish in the lockdown Ronde. Flags out as ever in this race. And there we see the scene at the virtual finishing line. Well, he looks a lot more relaxed than when we saw him in the final couple of kilometres, where he had to really dig in. He was just trying to hang on to the coattails of Oliver Naesen, which of course was easier said than done. It was a blistering attack by Naesen. Wout van Aert there. Well, he can relax and enjoy the rest of his Sunday afternoon shortly. But it's just good to see him riding again, isn't it, really, after that horrible accident he had in the Tour de France. Jasper Stuyven finishing in 5th place today. He rode quite strongly, particularly towards the end of the race. And what a fast and furious race it was. No prize money, just to remind you for this one, just about the love of the sport and the great race itself. There we are. Thanks to all our real heroes. Stay strong, the message from Zdeněk Štibar. Mike Turnesen finishing in 9th place today, one of the two Jumbo-Visma riders in this lockdown Ronde. We're hopefully going to hear from the riders at the top of the standings shortly. Messages of congratulations from friends and family, no doubt appearing.
Yeah.
And no doubt an image or two, a selfie that we will see on social media in the next couple of minutes. We're expecting to hear from the top 3 riders in today's race. So do stay with us if you can. We're just waiting for them to be able to connect. We could see Greg van Avermaet getting his laptop ready. That's what they're trying to do at the moment. So we are expecting 3 interviews here as the younger members of the families are able to get involved a little bit and enter the spaces where Dad was riding just a few minutes ago. No doubt having been cheering from the sidelines for the last 3/4 of an hour in this lockdown Ronde. A reminder, if you missed most of the race, you just tuned in, Greg van Avermaet was the winner. Oliver Naassen finishing in 2nd place and Nicola Roche finishing 3rd in today's event. As I say, a lot of hard work has gone in from a lot of people to make it happen. Do hope you're able to enjoy the race and that you enjoyed it. And what a field we had. Greg van Avermaet, Oliver Naassen, Remco Evenepoel, Yves Lampaert, Zdenek Stybar, Alberto Bettiol, Jasper Stuyven, Thomas de Gent, Tim Wellens, Mike Turnison, Wout van Aert, Michael Matthews and Nicola Roche. So superb lineup of riders. So thanks to all of them for taking part. Bit of fun, but as you could see, they were also taking it pretty seriously, as you would expect these professionals to do. And as soon as we can get linked up properly with them, hopefully we will hear from them. There we are. There's the official confirmation of the result in front of the heli shot. Oliver Naassen 20 seconds behind and Roche 21 seconds back. De Gent just didn't have the power and the surge right at the end to stay with the 2 in front of him. And Jasper Stuyven just had too much to do to try and close the gap to those in front. But that is your top 5 in the Ronde 2020. 32 kilometres instead of 267. Sounds like a good deal for them, doesn't it? But 3 bergs in there, 3 tough climbs. The last 3 of the race would have been numbers 15, 16 and 17 under normal circumstances. But the Kruisberg, the Oude Kwarmont and the Paterberg.
Ze gaan wat meemaken.
Let's hopefully hear from one of the riders shortly.
Krijgen we ook nog een vervolg van de uitslag of is die nog in handen van de jury? Oliver Naassen is klaar voor een interview.
Die gaat nog sneller spreken nu.
Oliver, ik hoor dat jij mij nu hoort. Ik wil je feliciteren met je schitterende wedstrijd. Vooral ook met je jump in de slotfase. Je hebt dat voortreffelijk gedaan. Ik heb er echt van genoten en ik meen dat.
They are the duo who commentate, the famous duo who commentate on Belgian television.
Met terugwerken, het effect. Maar nee, dat was iets goed.
Was er aan Greg wat te doen geweest?
Denk ik niet. Ik zat naar mijn analytics te kijken en die benen van mij ook kunnen, dus denk ik niet.
Zeg, Oliver, hij ging.
He says, where did you lose the game? Was the first question to Oliver Naassen. And he's talking about whether it was possible to stop Greg van Avermaet.
Je moet die beelden absoluut goed aandachtiger bekijken, want je aangezicht, dat sprak boekdelen. Hè? Je kreeg de ogen van een puit.
Ja, ik was volledig van
Maar ik weet, Michel, of je dat weet, maar Oliver Naassen komt uit het Puitenkloppersdorp, hè?
Ja. Ik zeg dat niet laagdunkend, ik zeg dat met alle respect, want ik denk dat jij nu gaat zeggen van het was harder dan ik dacht.
And we're hoping that if you're not able to understand this, that we will get a question in English with Oliver Naassen as well shortly.
Was jij nu op de hoogte van de aanwezigheid in dat groepje achter Van Avermaet van Nicola Roche?
Ja, maar het is niet meer kassein. Kijk wat die Nicola al presteert heeft in het welzijn. Dat is niet echt niet al te goed. Ofwel moet hij met zijn telefoon aan zijn oor spreken, ofwel gaat het niet afvallen.
Kun je iets dichter met je telefoon aan je oor spreken, want de klank is niet optimaal. Ja, ik ga nog één vraag stellen. Ben je een tevreden man?
Difficult to hear what he's actually saying.
Oké, ik heb dan nog een vraagje. Wat ga je nu aan reacties mogen verwachten van Greg van Avermaat zelf?
Well, the wrestler's got to be happy with the ride that he produced today.
Ja. En gaat hij ook tevreden zijn met zijn second? Daar ben jij dan?
Second today in the
Oké. Bedankt Oliver dat je ons nou deze afweigerende wedstrijd zo snel te boord hebt gestaan. Dank u wel, hè. Proficiat. En ook namens de mensen thuis. Knap gedaan.
So well done to him. Podium finisher. Here's the winner, Greg van Avermaat.
Greg, hoor je mij? En je bent perfect verstaanbaar. Wat zei Fleur daar tegen je?
Dat ze heel content was dat papa gewonnen had. Ja, ik had gezegd...
I think his daughter's name's Fleur. She said, what did Fleur tell you? That she is really happy that daddy won the race. Is what he says.
Ze begreep het niet echt goed. En ik ben een paar keer naar beneden gemoeten en ben je al bezig? Nee, straks moet papa rijden, maar ja, ze is tevreden.
Je zag twee duimen de hoogte ingaan bij José de Kouwer. Dus ik neem aan dat jij ook voldaan bent.
Ja, zeker. Hè. Het is een beetje eigenaardig, moet ik zeggen, om van hieruit met jullie te spreken. En ook een beetje eigenaardig om te koersen van thuis uit. Maar ja, ik heb geprobeerd om mijn best te doen. In het begin was ik een beetje verschoten van de snelheid, want op de kruisberg moet ik toch even lossen. En dan heb ik een beetje zoals in het echt alles op de pater gezet. En dan was het echt een beetje sterven tot aan de meet. Want die jongen altijd maar op 10 seconden en ik zat echt volledig op blok. En ja, het was voor mij nog een beetje schrikken dat ik nog ging gepakt worden. Maar ja, het was net zoals echt.
Zeg Greg, ik heb nu de indruk als ik jou hoor praten, hè, dat was precies echt.
Ja, ik begin het ook een beetje te beseffen zo, dat het gelijk een beetje zoals een koers was. Kostte spijtig genoeg niet achter de motor rijden. En dat was vol tot op het einde. Ja. Gisteravond sloeg ik een beetje in paniek met mijn materiaal. Ik ben naar een mechanieker gebeld voor mijn koerspiloot om af te brengen, omdat mijn versnelling in thuis hier niet zo perfect marcheerde. En, het is leuk om het te doen. Ik denk dat we niet moeten
one of the things he's been talking about is that there was a little panic yesterday. He said my bike had some issues, so he went to the mechanic.
Mijn hartslagen lange tijd niet meer zo hoog geweest.
Heeft dit toekomst? Wordt dit een nevenje?
I think we all had fun today. My power hasn't been this high in ages. No wonder he looks so happy.
Ik denk dat het een heel mooi idee was om dit naar voren te brengen. We weten dat iedereen in Vlaanderen, op de hele wereld eigenlijk, houdt van de Ronde van Vlaanderen. Het is altijd een heel speciaal moment. De buitenlanders die hier komen staan ook altijd met hun mond open op het plein in Brugge of Antwerpen. En het was voor mij toch deze morgen ook een beetje schrikken dat het niet echt doorging. Dit is geen waardig alternatief, denk ik, maar we hebben ons misschien toch een klein beetje
ask him about the future. He says Tour of Flanders is always a special moment. I felt a little bad this morning that the Tour of Flanders wasn't going on.
Wij hebben gewacht gemaakt in de uitzending. Hij pakt het zeer vakkundig en tactisch aan. Dat is dus niet waar geweest.
Ik heb eigenlijk een beetje geleerd van de tegenstander. Thomas had gestuurd ook.
I learned from my opponents, he says.
Gemaakt, dat het op de vlakken heel moeilijk wegrijden was. En dat had ik toch altijd een beetje in mijn hoofd geprint om enkel op de klimmen echt vol te gaan. Maar ja, ik denk dat er altijd wel iets te leren valt op zo'n medium. Ik ben eigenlijk niet echt een rollerrijder. Ik ga nog altijd van het echte werk buiten en de echte kasseien. Maar ik denk dat het
certainly gave it full gas at a couple of points. He says only went full gas on the hills. I'm not used to riding on the smart train. A little bit of a technical issue there.
Ga je dat nu aanvinken op je erelijst?
Nee.
Mag, hè?
Ik denk dat de echte Ronde van Vlaanderen hopelijk in het najaar gereden wordt. En laat ons hopen dat ik het op dezelfde manier kan afwerken.
Oké, ik wil jou namens de mensen die allemaal thuis zitten, verplicht thuis zitten, en die van jou genoten hebben, nogmaals feliciteren.
Ja, merci.
Van hieruit ook bedankt.
Stay with these.
Bedankt ook Remco Evenepoel. Hoor je mij, Remco?
Viewers around the world.
is
You can hear what they're saying.
Vertel mij eens doodgewoon je verhaal.
Ja, ik vond het eigenlijk redelijk zwaar. Ik weet niet, ja, die Paterberg, ik zag opeens recht staan op de visuele schermen. En,
Paterberg, I saw Greg standing on the pedals.
En uiteindelijk had hem toch zijn gelijk gekregen om daar zwaar door te rijden.
And he was really going hard.
Maar dat was echt super zwaar.
It was super
de resistentie was eigenlijk super zwaar op die Paterberg. En ik kwam bijna niet meer aan 50, 60 cadans op een bepaald moment. Dus dat was echt stoempen. En om eerlijk te zijn is dat niet van mijn grootste kwaliteit om zo aan een lage cadans te stoempen. Dus,
he didn't make 50 to 60 revs.
Het was zwaar, maar
not something that he's
achteraf reed ik nog tegen de 380, 400 watt om terug te komen. Maar
afterwards I did try to get back, but
game over. Dan heb ik gewacht op Jasper.
The gap just
je lacht, je geamuseerd.
Ja, tuurlijk. Het was echt 3 kwartier super hard. Ook een goede trainingssessie.
It was a good training session.
Ja, ik heb nu toch nog maar een paar dagen echt terug beginnen trainen. Dus ja, de motor was redelijk in gang geschoten na 10 minuutjes. En,
I still feel my heart rate is quite high.
Altijd dat mijn hartslag redelijk hoog ligt.
Oké, herstel goed en dank u wel.
Dank u.
De volledige uitslag vanavond naast Roche, de Gent,
official result from this race. Greg Van Avermaet, the winner, 43 minutes and 17 seconds. Oliver Naassen, big effort to try and close the gap at the end, but it was too little too late, but it was enough to make sure that he finished in second place ahead of Nicola Roche, who was third, just a second behind him. Thomas de Gent, prominent throughout, just getting dropped in the closing couple of kilometres. Jasper Stuyven rounding out the top 5. Remco Evenepoel, who started strongly, finishing in 6th place. A little bit further back, the 8th and 9th, the 2 riders from Team Jumbo-Visma. And Alberto Bettiol, 12th at 3:39. He was the winner of the Tour of Flanders last year. Michael Matthews, the only non-finisher in today's race. Well, that concludes our coverage of this special edition of the Tour of Flanders. Stay well and look after yourselves. But for now, it's goodbye.